did our political discourse, our schools, our churches, our communities. No matter our belief, no one should be harmed by expressing them. Violence has no place in our politics. It has no place in our schools. It has no place in our churches, our public spaces, or our homes. We are here today as 30-plus diverse community leaders, students, educators, Republicans, and Democrats. I'd like just to refer you to your press packets for a complete list of the coalition that we represent here today in solidarity. We are united in our commitment to a Utah that rises to meet this moment, not with division, but with a promise to build peace together. As Governor Cox reminded us on Wednesday evening, this moment calls us to look inward and find our braver angels. This moment calls us to make individual choices that uphold the humanity of all, to model more constructive disagreement, to put away our weapons and our words of war. A quote often attributed to Viktor Frankl, the Austrian neurologist and survivor of the Holocaust, reminds us that between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. Now is that space. We are in that space. This community is holding that space for us as Utahns. Now is the moment to choose to turn toward each other, for us to come together as a community. A collective pause to help us align our responses to the tragedy, to our values. As community partners, we are launching today a new website, turntoward.us. We hope that this website will be of value to individuals, to families, to campuses, to communities. It represents the love, the expertise, the knowledge, and the wisdom of many you see here and many you do not. This is a collection of tried and true resources. Download the toolkit. Pick something that you can choose to do. There are small things we can do to disagree better, to listen more intently, to ask more curious questions, to stop making assumptions, to check our information flow, to have more productive conversations. There are courses you can take in how to navigate major conflict, suggestions on how to talk about gun violence with your children, and the list goes on. They may not seem like big actions some people are calling for at a time like this, but there are many small things we can each do to turn toward each other more in conversation, in relationship, in community. There are also a series of upcoming events that this community is hosting and putting on both in person and online, and I urge you to attend if that feels like something that would be of value to you. Events that will support, uplift, educate, inform, and give space for the complex feelings of this moment. We will start our event today by hearing from Zach Wilson, who is the former chair of the Utah Young Republicans, followed by Jack Davis, current president of the Utah Young Democrats. These two brave, ideologically different leaders are modeling for us politics with respect, and we appreciate them and the others speaking with you today for joining us. Tammy Pfeiffer is the co-creator of the Dignity Index. She will be followed by Becky Edwards, who is the founder of the governing group. And lastly, we will hear from Ashley Bell, who is the chairman of the board and CEO of Redemption Holding Company, and they will speak in turn. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The last few days have been painful and numbing. Today, Americans are feeling a certain kind of heartbreak. By the age of 31, Charlie Kirk had climbed to the top of the political and media world and was a leader to millions of people. More importantly, he was a husband and a father. You may disagree with his beliefs, but he was generally kind to those with whom he spoke. When someone would try to silence or boo Charlie, he would often say, "Quiet, let them speak." In his debates, Charlie let everyone have a voice. Sadly, 2 days ago, in our backyard, his voice was taken away. Think of the young people scared and unsure about their future across America right now. Peaceful campus vigils are. Why? As a direct result of Charlie's efforts, Gen Z has been brought into the political process. To honor Charlie Kirk, we must honor what he stood for: the freedom of speech and the freedom to peacefully assemble. If the public square can no longer host the kind of great debates once held by Lincoln and Douglas, then we have lost sight of who we are. And in the coming weeks and months, we need to move beyond the platitudes and figure out what's going on, what's the root cause of what killed Charlie. Our country is an inspiring and beautiful place, one that has survived a civil war, one that in the 1960s survived rioting, unrest, and the assassinations of John F. Kennedy, Martin Luther King, and Robert F. Kennedy. We can and we will overcome this. My solution is to reach out more, to see all as children of God, each endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. As my first step, Jack and I will be getting lunch together in the next couple weeks. We went to the same school at the same time, even bumped into each other a couple times along the way. I know we have different political views, but I look forward to creating a friendship. I encourage everyone to do the same, Democrats and Republicans, especially at this tough time. From Butler to Minnesota, San Francisco to the campus of Utah Valley University, hatred and political violence cannot be condoned. An attack on Donald Trump, Paul Pelosi, Melissa Hortman, Steve Scalise, or Charlie Kirk is an attack on all of us. I call on leaders, media, parties, and each of us to look inward and to call on your better angels. I call on young people to boldly declare your beliefs, but to do so with optimism, respect, and love for your neighbor. To anyone struggling, reach out to a friend, get the help you might need. Whether you agree with someone or not, connect with them and reach out. That's what I believe Charlie would have wanted. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Zach, for that message and for your kind words. I want to start by just saying, on behalf of the Young Democrats of Utah, I want to extend our sincerest and most heartfelt condolences to Charlie Kirk's friends and family. I truly and honestly can't imagine the pain and heartbreak that accompanies a loss like this, and we really do wish his family all the strength in the world in the coming days and weeks. It's truly a tragedy. But it's because of that pain that Zach and I are both here today, and it's because of that pain that we are here at a unique event. Relatively unique because Zach and I are often on different pages with some things, maybe most things. But we're here today because right now we could not be in greater agreement if we tried. Whether you are a young Republican, a young Democrat, or you couldn't care less about politics, every single one of us has a fundamental right to share ideas and engage with our peers free from violence. Plain and simple. That is the promise of free speech, and that is the promise that we as Americans have. The brutal attack that we witnessed this week wasn't just an attack on a man and a family, though it was. It was also an attack on that fundamental right of free speech that we enjoy, and that lets each of us engage in our communities in the way that we wish to. To the young Utahns who are watching this, who are looking around and trying to understand what's next, you're not alone. I hope you recognize that the answer to that question starts and ends with us. We are the next generation of leaders. In many cases, we're the current generation of leaders. And the choice about what our politics will look like in the future is ours to make. That's our responsibility. And so the challenge that I would give to every young Utahn today is to make the personal promise in your heart that you will reject violence as a way to accomplish what you want, plain and simple. Political violence is a corrosive evil that we cannot allow in our state. It cannot take root here, because that is the destruction of the political system that we know and love. So I am excited to work with Zach. I'm excited to work with everyone in this room to see what we can do to bring our community together to defend that fundamental right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm really honored to be among this group of people and among you. I want to acknowledge first that as Americans, we're pretty good at coming together after a tragedy. 24 years ago yesterday was 9/11, and the day after, today, September 12th, 24 years ago, we're pretty good about coming together. What I think we're not as good at is coming together to prevent these types of tragedies. And that's why we're here, and that's why the work of my colleagues is so important. And the work that we've been doing for some time is to come together in a different way to prevent this type of horrific act. This morning I had a call from a reporter at a national magazine, and she sensed that something was different about the response. She said, "What is it about Utah? It just feels different. Your governor's words feel different. This response feels different." And in Utah, we've had a lot of opportunities to come together. Natural disasters, fires, and floods, and even COVID brought us together for a time. But it is a little bit different. And I said, I don't know exactly what to tell you. I feel like it's in our DNA that we want to work together. We want to make our communities and our state a better place. And by extension, we want to make the country a better place. Many of the organizations up here represent national organizations that are doing work nationally, not just in Utah. So I appreciate being in this group. My work is involved with the Dignity Index, which is a tool that we've created. Don't worry, I'm going to make you take a handout before you leave today. Looking at the language that we use in moments of disagreement. How do we talk about each other? How do we talk to each other when we disagree? As so eloquently stated by these young individuals in front of me. This is our work, is to find a way to do that so we prevent these types of occurrences. So I want to leave you with 3 takeaways from my heart and from our work. We're asking people to first turn inward, turn towards yourself. We check ourselves first. That's one of the goals of the Dignity Index, is to give you a guideline so that you can check yourself first. Before we blame some other nameless, faceless group, we check ourselves. How am I reacting? What does my language look like? What am I posting or reposting on social media? What am I telling my children? So first we ask people to turn inward. The second thing that I'm going to ask is that you turn outward, that you check on people, check on your neighbors, check on your friends, check on someone who maybe shares a different ideology than you do. See how they are. Check on young people. This is a very difficult time, especially for young people, and I feel the need a lot of times to apologize for the country politically that we are leaving the next generation. So check outwardly on people. And then the third thing, after we've turned inward and we've turned outward, we invite you to turn toward us, which is different than turning outward, is turning towards us together. What can we accomplish together? On our Dignity Index, if you get to a level 6, which is on the dignity side of the scale, that's where you're finding common ground. I believe this, you believe this, great, we can do this together. At a 7, it's when you're not looking for common ground, you're looking for higher ground. I disagree with you on this, and I disagree on that. And how can I learn from you so that we can solve problems together? That's turning toward us. So thank you for being together. Together, we are building a different kind of community. Utah can lead the way and show what it can be like when we turn inward, when we turn outward, and when we turn toward us. Thank you.
The violence at Utah Valley University this week was a sobering reminder how important it is to safeguard our democracy. At their best, our democratic institutions protect the freedoms that define our country and define us: the freedom of expression, the right to peaceful debate, and the ability to disagree without fear. These institutions are not abstract. They are the rules, traditions, and safeguards that make it possible for neighbors with very different viewpoints to live, work, and thrive side by side. And when violence enters the picture, it threatens not just individuals, but the very fabric of our shared civic life. In this moment, we must reject retaliation and partisan blame What our communities need and what Governor Cox has rightly called us to is leadership marked by dignity and restraint. That means reflecting before reacting, listening before speaking, and treating even our opponents with respect. Here in Utah, we have an example worth lifting up. Across party lines, leaders are showing that civil discourse is possible and that politics doesn't have to be toxic to be effective. Here in Utah, leaders and communities came together during my service in the legislature on complex issues of immigration, LGBTQ rights, and climate, not because they always agreed, but because they chose to engage with respect, modeling accountability and principled dialogue with a focus on finding a solution. That spirit of civil discourse across party lines is something rare in our national climate, and Utah has the power to be a model of civility in action for our nation. In the aftermath of this week, then, the responsibility to move ahead with intention and purpose is now on all of us. Every respectful conversation at a town hall or around a dinner table is a step toward rebuilding trust in each other, our institutions, and our democracy. Coalitions like this that bring us together and bring diverse voices are where the best solutions begin. But that requires ongoing effort, and we call on elected officials and civic leaders to continue to create safe spaces for dialogue and problem solving, spaces where people of every background and belief can participate without fear, and where differences are not a threat but an opportunity to learn and then lead. This is the vision and the foundation of the governing group. Our work supporting candidates across the state is focused on building bridges, fostering dignity in public life, and showing that a commitment to respect, community, and solutions is not weakness, but power. When we reflect before we act, we choose better and we govern better. And we open the doors for other people to step forward with hope instead of fear. In fact, these are the very qualities voters are hungry for. And when candidates have the tools to run strong campaigns with authenticity and dignity, without resorting to negativity, they succeed. The path forward includes creating a culture and support system where leaders and candidates can win by focusing on substance, respect, and listening. We need to find and support leaders at the local level who are modeling civility now, because they will become tomorrow's state and national leaders. And there's room for everyone in this work. Communities can reward leaders who choose collaboration over conflict. Citizens can insist that candidates win on ideas, not on outrage. And together, we can change the incentives and the very structure of politics in this state, and we can do it from the ground up. Let's reflect before we act. Let's lead with dignity, and let's show, starting here in Utah, that civility is not a weakness. It is the very strength that protects both our communities and our democracy.
My name is Ashley Bell. I would have never thought I would be in Utah at a moment like this. I'm from Gainesville, Georgia, but it is very apropos for my life. I started as a college kid getting involved in politics, and I was actually the national president of the College Democrats of America. And my first time ever meeting anybody from Utah was the president of the College Democrats of Utah. And it was a young guy named Aaron Thompson who ended up being a dear friend. And I haven't seen him in years, and I'm going to see him for the first time tomorrow. Largely because of this, us reconnecting in these moments. But my career starts off there, and then full circle, some 20 years later, I meet Charlie Kirk working in the White House and working for President Trump. What an arc of life. What an arc of life. And what a time to be able to say that over that arc of traveling and learning and becoming a more dynamic human, that I was able to meet my friends where they were. Never always agreeing on everything, but still remembering we're friends. And even though my career ended politically, working as a Republican, that my dear college Democrat friend from Utah is going to come visit me tomorrow at a bank that I started. This is the first African-American bank in the Rockies. That doesn't happen by chance. You don't come to a place like this unless there's really good people who are really open to things that may be different than they've seen every day. You know, we bought Holiday Bank and Trust because my co-founder, who's the youngest daughter of Martin Luther King Jr., said that this was the place where something like that could happen, and probably the only place in America. It was the only place where people from a different background could look and find that it's the best place for business, led by great people like Governor Cox, who provide opportunities like this for us to be together and gather in brotherhood and sisterhood. To say that, you know what, if there's one place in America where people of color could go and purchase a bank and be successful, it's probably Utah. And what a moment for us to be cutting our ribbon and opening our bank 2 days ago. We were expecting to have Governor Cox speak and get the news of what happened to my friend Charlie. It's never easy to know someone with so much life and think of something like that happening to him. And it was a moment where I'm looking at Dr. King and I'm saying, there's no one in this world who knows loss like this like you. There's no one in this world who knows what it's like to have a father assassinated, her grandmother assassinated, her uncle assassinated. And to have my son sit in the front row and I have to explain to him that something like this that he thought was lost to the ages, something that would happen in a world like this. But to have her come to the microphone and be able to say, having dealt with loss like this, to still call on the better angels of America, to be able to remind us what her father said so eloquently, that darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. That hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. And what you've heard in so many different ways today is just that. If we're going to find a way to eradicate the darkness, we all have to carry a little bit brighter light when we leave here. If we're going to find a way of getting rid of hate, we're going to have to find a little bit more love when we leave here. And meet people where they are, understanding that we don't have to agree on everything, but what we can agree on is that we all deserve to reap the bounties of living in the greatest country in the world that is founded on freedom of speech. And that freedom means that you should be able to say it, and I could disagree with you, but I love the fact that we live in a country where you can. This is what we have to fight for. We will be challenged. Coretta Scott King said that every generation is not born free. It had to fight for it. And this is our expression of that freedom. And we hope that when we leave here today with a little bit more light and a little bit more love, that we can remember and honor Charlie and honor everyone who's willing to step into the arena, of civil discourse, speak their truth, and hopefully in that we can celebrate peace. Thank you.
Thank you for your words, Zach and Jack, Tammy, Becky, Ashley. A special thanks to our partners here, these friends and dedicated individuals who are here to support our communities now, in this moment, and going forward. A special thank you to Emma Adams and the Mormon Women for Ethical Government. They have sponsored today's event, and they have sponsored the launch of the website turntoward.us. And we are grateful for their leadership and support of these efforts collectively. A final word, we invite you to have the courage to become peacemakers that can learn to transform the conflicts that threaten our communities. We cannot run from these challenges, and we cannot afford to look the other way or wait for someone else to solve them. we need to spend more time and energy cultivating the openness of heart, the character, the will, and the skills of making peace, of having tough conversations productively, of disagreeing better. Our community needs each of us. Our families need each of us. Our country needs each of us to model a better way. And now in this space, in this moment, is our time to turn toward each other. Thank you. These colleagues are here for conversation, for quotes. If anyone from the press would like to mingle with individuals that are here today, they are available to you. Thank you for coming.
No,